Hey YouTube, this is Smiley. Um, Basically, this is a hard video to make because on July 20th, 2019 was the day that I lost my uncle. Basically, he was my only father figure because I looked up to him. My dad wasn't in my life, and I mean, not to throw any drama in there, but he's responsible. He knew that he had a choice, and his choice was very clear not to be around. But enough about that. Basically, I looked up to my uncle. My uncle, he was an amazing man. He taught me so much at a young age. He even got me hooked to wrestling. I always thought it was silly until I actually took the time to watch it. Yeah, like basically, he he made my childhood for me. Every time I went to my grandma's house, I always wondered where my uncle was. Play fight, play wrestle, just mess around and just joke about nostalgia and stuff. But how he got sick was he had fluid in his lungs, and basically my uncle, he he was quiet. He never really spoke, and he would he would he would always open up to me. Me and him had a good bond, but it was like the timing and stuff. Like I was we were supposed to move to Texas and everything, and unfortunately we ended up having to move into our grandma's house, and during this time he was sick. But like with all the stuff that had happened, I was focused on uh, getting the stuff inside the house and making sure everything was alright. Meanwhile, one of my friends, he needed a place to stay also, so like I was wrapped up in everything. But like with my uncle, sometimes get he would get like stomach flu. So like I thought it was that, so I was going to go get him some medicine, but one of my mom's friends ended up getting it for him. But like we all thought that it wasn't anything major, and like we got him 7 Up and other stuff. But for the past few days he been in bed, and normally, and like for those few days I did go and check on him and stuff like that, and just like mess around, telling him just not like aggressive or nothing, just sit there and talk a little bit and just let him rest, because when normally when he was like that, I normally let him rest so he could get plenty of sleep. Well, it had to be sometime. Yeah, it was on a Wednesday, and he got up to use the bathroom. I Yeah, he really couldn't go, and then my mom and grandma, they both saw him and asked him to lift up his shirt, and that's when his stomach was bloated, and they immediately called the hospital. I mean, called 911 and get an ambulance. So, um, he was admitted into the hospital. Um, the doctors didn't know what was going on. Um, he had fluid. He had fluid in his stomach. So because he could not urinate, and so he was, I believe he went to dialysis and stuff like that. Uh, um, for the past few days, like, they drained some of the fluid off of him. Like, it had to be at least a gallon or two. And by that time, he was feeling better. And this had to be around, yeah, this had to be around, I believe, Friday, around that time. And he was feeling better. He was up moving around. And no, it was a Thursday. And I came on a Friday. So I went to see him on a Friday. Meanwhile, my mom was there at the hospital with him to make sure that the nurses were doing their job. But he was feeling great. He was able to walk around. He was able to use the bathroom a little bit. And I came on a Friday to bring him some clothes, underwear, stuff like that. And I was talking, but like his oxygen was getting low, and he was just feeling weak. And my uncle, he was a very strong man, and to see him weak, man, that kind of hurt, like, cause he was the most energetic man I knew. Like, he would be the aggressive, like, just try to play fight me and whatever. But me and him, we talked. I tried to show him a future apartment that I was gonna get, but couldn't really he couldn't really keep his eyes open, so I just let him rest. Chilled at the hospital with him for at least about 2 hours before the buses stopped running. So I went ahead, took the bus, and it was those last words I got to say to my uncle that kind of hurts to this day. But my last words to him was, "I love you," and he said, "I love you too." Normally he never used to say it back. He'd be like, "Ah, whatever," but he said, "I love you too." So I promised myself I was not gonna cry on this video, but oh shoot. But it was a good way to say goodbye. And then I went to the store to get the dog some dog food. I remember this day vividly. Like, I got a text saying that he was crying a little bit, and this happened on Saturday earlier in the day. So I was saying that I'll, I was gonna come and see you tomorrow at 9:20 was when we got the phone call, and he was passing. Um, my heart dropped, and I was speechless. I was angry. I, I was trying to keep it together. I was in disbelief because I just didn't want to believe that was true. So I said it's alright. We go and get a ride to the hospital. But as soon as we made it, he was gone. And I mean, that was my father figure, and he passed. Somebody that I've known since I was a little boy, and just going. I know everybody goes through this, but I did not expect it so soon. He died at 40, and all because it was fluid in his stomach, and the hospital couldn't really do anything. And sometimes I blame the hospital because he was in their care and he still passed away. But I promised throughout this point on, I want to celebrate my uncle. I know, like, I wish I started YouTube way earlier so people could actually see how genuine he was. He was the most wholesome man I ever knew. And for him to be gone for a year, it sucks. It really does. But I didn't mean to weigh in heavy just to, like, for my first time to actually record myself being on YouTube. But I felt like I could just spill out what I actually thought, and able to just explain how I feel and at least put my head at peace, because knowing that my uncle died, like, knowing that he passed, saying I love you too, for our last words to be that towards each other, has a special place in my heart. And just my messages: don't take anybody that you love for granted, because they could be gone just like that. But keep your heads up for 2020. I know it's tough, but we're all in this together. Just stay high and never take the people that you love for granted. All right. Thank you.